And if you recall, it's later in the episode, but it's when Happy shows up because he's working to get Cameron north, and Happy's explaining things to he's talking to Clay, and after he leaves, Unser says he seems like a nice fella.
Welcome back to the third and final part of tonight's show. If you are just joining us, we've already finished parts 1 and 2, where we tried and discussed a comparison of Eagle Rare and Russell's Reserve 10-year bourbon. And we've already covered the first half of Sons of Anarchy Season 1, Episode 10, titled Better Half. For those of you watching on YouTube, I do want to remind you, please like and subscribe, and be sure to leave us your questions and your comments in the comment section below. And you can also email your questions to us at ask@bourbonbros, that's BROS.TV. And if your question doesn't suck, we may even answer it on a future show. All right, Ken, let's get into the back half of the episode. And there's one of the things that I know you love, and we talk about it in just about every episode, is church.
Yeah,
right.
I do.
And this is where the club gets together to talk about kind of whatever ails them, right? Whatever issues they're dealing with, and club business. And what I loved about this particular episode is we get a special guest for church.
Yeah, we do.
We get Chief Unser
Quite
sitting
funny
at the table.
Well, he's been kicked out of his office. He's got to have somewhere to go.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to nominate this as one of my favorite moments because I loved this scene with church and Unser being there, which typically you would not have the chief of police attending church for an outlaw motorcycle club.
In a normal world, you're right. That wouldn't take place.
But I'm going to actually let you kind of kick off the discussion. What did you enjoy about this moment?
Well, I mean, I don't want to steal the punchline, but
no, go for it.
No, I mean, Unser's there at the table where he really shouldn't be, and they're talking about, the club is talking about the plan to try and to get into the jail, to get a message to Luann about what Agent Stahl is doing with Opie. Okay, not Opie. I'm sorry, Otto.
Hey, they keep the girls in your cell overnight?
Yeah.
You still got your keys?
What are you thinking here?
Get a message to Luann. She talks to Otto. She can warn him about Stahl using Rico.
And so they kind of ask Unser if there's a way in the building. Is there any cameras? He says,
What about, like, security cameras?
It's a police station. I got cops. I don't need cameras.
He agrees to help them break in and allow them to get the message, but there has to be a distraction, which we'll get to later.
And real quickly, just in case somebody didn't understand or has not seen the episode, it's getting the message to Otto is really about making him aware that Agent Stahl is going after a Rico case, because that means anything that Otto shares, even if it's old, could be used against them.
Mm-hmm.
And Otto normally wouldn't know that and wouldn't realize that something that is old and dated could actually be harmful.
Yeah, even if he gets something small, it's enough. It could be enough. So they just need to get that message. Anyway, they're plotting how this will all play out. We'll get to that.
Yep.
But it goes up for vote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Put your goddamn hand down.
He was a little. Looked like he was a little disappointed that he wasn't. His opinion didn't matter. It was funny. I was entertained.
It was such a great moment because Unser doesn't know what he's supposed to do. So yeah, he throws his hand up.
Yeah, I mean he spends some additional time at the club too, and if you recall, it's later in the episode, but it's when Happy shows up because he's working to get Cameron north, and Happy's explaining things to he's talking to Clay, and after he leaves, Unser says,
He seems like a nice fella.
He's just out of his element. You know?
And we learned, if we didn't know before, we learned very clearly in the last episode that Happy gets his name because he's a hitman.
Mm-hmm.
So the fact that Unser is like, he seems like a nice guy is just
nice hitman.
And the way everybody looks at him is just perfect.
Yeah. I think Clay, is Clay that spit out his drink?
Oh, Unser.
Mm-hmm.
Good old Unser.
So anyway, what's next on your list?
There's always something good that comes out of church.
Always. It's good dialogue. It builds a plot. They talk about, what's important things. You lose a lot. You have to I have to rewatch it because there's a lot that goes on at church.
And we've not talked about it on the show, but just to kind of acknowledge something that I think we all realized the first time we watched the series is that table is freaking amazing.
It is. Yeah, like hand carved.
It is unbelievable. I don't know who did the work on that table, and if anybody knows, please let us know.
I want one of those. Let us know.
I wonder where that table ended up, because I bet you there are 50 people who worked on that show that all would have wanted that table.
Yeah. I would kill for that.
Just
not literally.
Incredible. All right. So what do you got next, Ken?
I think I go to the scene that kind of promotes the distraction. So that they're at the bar. Do you remember this? Tig and Bobby and Piney are all at the bar, and they're trying to create a fight to where all the police leave the station so that they can get in and get this information to Luann.
They're creating the distraction.
They're creating the distraction, correct? And the scene starts with Tig, and it's kind of a close up of Tig, and he's looking at Piney, and he's looking at his oxygen tank, and he's close enough to where he might be able to get a whiff of the what's going on. And he looks at Piney and he says,
You ever get high off of this?
It's just oxygen.
No, I know. But can't you turn it way up and get the blue velvet kind of thing going on?
It's such a great scene. God, I love Tig.
He's a great character. I love him. just he's a great actor. I thought it was well done.
And Piney is just like, what in the hell is wrong with him?
I think they said, where do you start? The list is too long.
Yeah, the list is too long, my friend.
He's twisted. He's definitely twisted. But in that scene, they kind of pit two tables against each other by telling them that the other table's talking about them, and the fight erupts. And then they're shown back at the bar enjoying their drink. But it's enough to cause the distraction and to distract the police showing up at the bar.
Yeah, and I love how Tig starts the fight and then just kind of steps out of it and heads back to the bar and keeps drinking. And Bobby, who never stopped drinking, is just basically like, yeah, good job, guys.
Yeah, it worked.
Fantastic. So that leads now to Sam Crow breaking into the charming police station to get the message to Luann.
Right.
And they did that. And then things escalate and they end up breaking Cherry out of jail because
because she implodes and basically says, I'm gonna rat. Like, she doesn't trust herself.
You gotta take me with you, man, please.
I can't.
That bitch wants to send me back to Nevada. I'm gonna do hard time, like 100 goddamn years. I can't do that. Your mom's right. I'll rat if I stay in here. I'll rat!
Which is ballsy on her part because there's a lot of people that end up dead when they say that.
Yeah. But do you remember when they were breaking her out? Do you remember the scene where they show Unser there? And she looks at him like, are you the police chief?
Hey, aren't you the police chief?
I got no idea what I am anymore.
He's a friend.
And he's like, I don't know who I am anymore.
Yeah, because he's like, whoa. Like, getting a message to Luann is one thing, but a prison break takes this to a whole nother level that I wasn't prepared to sign off on.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to bring up another part that I thought was pretty funny, and that was Jax hears some noises.
Oh, okay. I know where you're going.
And now you'll remember earlier in the episode, Agent Stahl and her ATF friends show up and commandeer the police station and send Unser on basically a leave of absence.
Mm-hmm.
She takes over Unser's office.
Right.
And this is the location where the noises are coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And Jax kind of peeks through the door. And initially you think that Agent Stahl may be crying.
I thought she was crying. Right.
Right. We learned that she was not.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, God. Now it's my turn.
The reason that I called this out is not so much for that scene, which was funny. And that scene was different than what I would have expected from Agent Stahl in that situation, but that's a whole nother conversation. I'm curious to see how Jax is able to use this information.
Yeah, that's a great point, because I was thinking his smile, the smile on his face, he was, mental note,
Yep.
this could come back later. This could be leverage, and we'll see where that goes, but this could end up being leverage.
That's right. He knows this is something he can use.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Jax always trying to think 3, 4, 5 moves ahead, and we don't know where it's going yet.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we've got time for just a couple more. How about you take one and I take one?
Okay. This might be kind of slightly out of order, something we've talked about, but Cherry, when she's at the convenience store and she's telling Gemma about her past.
Yes.
Her real name's Rita, so now she's Rita, or kind of, and she confesses that she's wanted for arson. She burnt down a condo from her exes and her dog, and I guess her dog ended up dying. But this is something that turns out could be leverage for Agent Stahl. You know, she ends up getting questioned. Agent Stahl kind of scares her with this could end up being, some serious time you're going to do, which scares her. She realizes that she might not be able to. She might rat on the club.
Yeah. So you learn all of her backstory.
Mm-hmm.
You learn her real name.
You do. She puts a whipping on someone. She smashes them with a bottle.
Oh, that ATF agent.
That ATF agent. You're
Ooh,
right.
Blasted.
Mm-hmm.
And what's interesting is up until this point, you don't know of anything that Agent Stahl could use to get to the club because she's so new. Her involvement is so new. She doesn't know anything.
Right.
So in terms of a RICO case, she's worthless.
But she doesn't know that.
And then you find out she's wanted.
Mm-hmm. And she's
basically running from the law.
Right. And she's questioning her about the Indian Hills, the episode, patchover episode. And wanting to know what she knows
Good
there.
point. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
True. But it's really her past. That's the leverage.
Yeah, that's the leverage. Good point.
And ultimately this leads to, as we mentioned, they break her out of jail,
mm-hmm.
right? Because she doesn't trust herself. And then she basically gets, taken out of Charming with Cameron, right?
Yeah.
Like the club basically gets them out of Charming.
They have to get her out because they've broken her out of jail. They can't, they have to now get rid of her.
That's right. And one thing I just want to tack on to this is you'll remember that this all started with Cherry arriving in Charming and Gemma discovering that Clay and Cherry had a fling.
Yeah.
And Gemma hated Cherry.
Oh yeah.
Right? I mean, she
their
basically knocked out several teeth with a skateboard.
But their relationship has changed.
Yes.
They know each other deeper now.
Yes. And you remember in that episode, one of the things that we talked about was that once there was no longer a fear of Cherry trying to kind of take Clay away from Gemma, and Gemma now knew why she was really here, there was a sense that Gemma saw a younger version of herself in Cherry. Mm-hmm. And there was a level of respect for the toughness in Cherry.
Yeah.
And I think that leads to this friendship. And so I don't know if you remember, but at the end, when they are taking Cherry away, like Gemma and Cherry have this moment, like this, they hug.
Yep.
And you can sense the strength of the friendship.
No more burning down shit.
Right.
What I really loved about the scene is then Cherry takes off and you have Gemma and Tara standing next to one another in the doorway. Tara's obviously watching Jax leave. Gemma's watching Cherry leave. And you see how much that relationship does not exist between Gemma and Tara.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
And my take on it is that Gemma sees Cherry as someone like her, who will always put the club first. And there's a trust that comes from that. And I think Gemma doesn't see that in Tara.
Yeah, they kind of do point that out.
Yeah, like Gemma is like,
that.
You're not one of us. Mm-hmm. And Cherry is.
Right. Now, I don't know about you, but Maggie Siff, who plays Tara, she looked very young in that shot. Yeah, they went back to her a couple times, and I was noting. Yeah, it's been a while.
Well, and you and I both watch Billions that she stars in now, and we're so used to seeing her in that, you really notice how much younger she was when she did Sons.
And she's extraordinary in that as well. But you're right. It just was like time warp. This, Sons is a little bit old there.
Yes, and for those that haven't, definitely check out Billions, and I think it's a credit to Maggie Siff as an actor because the characters could not be more different. The strength that she shows in Billions is so different than what she shows in the character Tara.
That's incredible.
It's fantastic. She does an amazing job in it.
Amazing.
So, Ken, I think we have to wrap up with what is obviously the finale of the episode. I don't think there's any secrets in what this is about. This is Agent Stahl finally getting to go face to face with Otto, right? Luann's husband, which is played by Kurt Sutter.
We didn't talk a lot about what plays out in this episode with Otto.
No, so we'll talk about the whole thing here to wrap up tonight's show.
Take us down the path.
So ultimately, what Stahl is trying to do is go with the path of least resistance and the path with the greatest odds. And as we know from the beginning of the episode, right, she's arrested Luann, right? They found cocaine and pills, right? And so she believes, and she's not wrong, that Otto will provide information to save Luann from going to prison. And that's the play.
Right.
And because they were able to get to Luann, and Luann was able to get that information to Otto, Otto now knows what Agent Stahl is trying to do.
Okay.
So initially, when Stahl meets with Otto, she gives him a line that is basically like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be doing this. My boss is making me do this.
I'm gonna be straight with you, okay? I got this bullshit case dumped on me. Last thing I want to be doing is running around humping outlaw bikers. I just need something to take back to my bosses. If the intel leads nowhere, then I really don't give a shit.
And at the time, Luann had not gotten Otto that message yet. And so Otto's thinking, I have a way of getting Luann off the hook without putting the club at risk. And so he starts to negotiate a deal.
He can,
right?
He can make something up, or he can give something useless.
That's
But
right.
he doesn't know that it doesn't matter if it's useless.
That's right.
It could
And
be-
then Luann lets him know that basically Agent Stahl's trying to play him.
Mhm.
Right. And that's the turning point. We don't realize it yet, but for Otto, what he thought was going to be a harmless deal where he could give her what she needs and he would get what he needs and he wouldn't put the club at risk. He now knows that she's trying to play him. And let's just say that doesn't go over very well with Otto.
No.
So Otto, very smooth here, plays along.
Well, he gets his conjugal visit first, which is important because that's where he learns about
Yes.
what's going on. At first he doesn't know that.
And so he decides to string Agent Stahl along. They draft up the agreement.
Mhm.
And when she brings the agreement in, Otto suddenly realizes, I don't have my glasses.
You sign, then I'll sign.
Shit.
What's the matter?
I don't have my glasses. Did I say this was June or July?
Which is why I titled this moment, Take a Closer Look. She comes over and starts to stand next to him and look at the contract. And what does Otto do?
Take us there.
Otto proceeds to jump up, wrap the chains of his handcuffs over the top of her head, and slam her face into the metal table repeatedly until other officers could arrive and break it up.
Mhm.
And I mean, he smashes the hell out of her face.
Yeah. She's bleeding, mouth is filling up with blood. Agent Hale Deputy Hale is trying to react to things, but he's laughing too.
Well, in the final scene where she walks in, and you have that poor officer trying to be helpful by giving her the towel.
Get off me! Get off me!
You see a different side of her, and just it was so well done. You really felt all of that combination of anger and embarrassment, right? Anger for what has happened and wanting to get back at him, but also embarrassment for not seeing it, right? And allowing that to happen. And all of those emotions are stirring at the same time. And then to just ensure that we put as much salt into that wound as possible, it cuts to Otto, and he's laughing.
I'm gonna bury these assholes.
It's a hell of a way to end the episode, Ken.
Yeah. It seems like it's become personal for her now.
If it wasn't personal before, it certainly is now.
Definitely.
So going back to what you said at the very beginning, this is a great episode.
It is. I thought Agent Stahl's character really flourished in this episode.
Yes.
We get a little bit of her before, but there's a lot of her in this one.
And I think this is what was so surprising to me when we first returned to the series. And you know, her character goes for several seasons.
Yeah.
And you're getting so much just in this first season. I had forgotten how prevalent a character she was.
Oh, she's incredible.
Which brings us to next week's show.
Okay.
Where we will be discussing, and I don't know if you remember, when I first watched this, I didn't pay attention to the names. It's not until we did this show that I'm really paying attention to the names. But we're on to episode 11. Again, we're now on the final 3 of season 1.
Are we there yet? Are we there?
There's only
Wow.
13, so we're coming up on 11. And the title of the episode is Capybara.
Capybara. Okay.
Capybara.
Remind me again what that's all about.
So capybara is, I believe it's South America. One of, if not the largest rodents in the world. it's the capybara.
Okay. All right. Big rat, maybe?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
All right. We'll see where that goes.
That's what I'm thinking. So we'll leave that there, but we got capybara coming up next. And again, we're in that final 3-episode stretch up to the finale. So things will start to get, I think, really interesting here because generally first season finale, there's some kind of cliffhanger moment generally.
Mm-hmm.
And so you know that like everything that's been building, some of it will obviously continue into season 2, but there's going to be some sort of a climax to this season. And it's frankly been so long since I've watched this series. I don't remember what happens in episode 13. So I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm looking forward for the next couple episodes. So,
and that leads us to our second most important question of the night, Ken.
I know where you're going. And I'll just mention really quick that since I am long out of Eagle Rare, I've stabilized on Russell's and it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's again, for the price point and getting a 10-year bourbon, Russell's is respectable for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
I enjoy it. And a lot of flavor packed in it.
Definitely. But I like them both. But getting on to next week.
What are we going to drink?
Why don't you pick it?
You want me to pick? Okay. Well, if you remember, Eagle Rare comes from Buffalo Trace Distillery.
Yes.
We have never done their flagship bourbon, Buffalo Trace Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey.
Okay. I don't have it. I will pick it up, though, for the episode.
So I think Buffalo Trace is such an iconic brand and distillery. They do so many great bourbons, Eagle Rare, Blanton's, Weller's, Buffalo Trace being their flagship. Like we can't go on much further without getting into a Buffalo Trace bourbon. So let's definitely do that one. And we'll take the Buffalo Trace into our discussion of capybara.
All right. That sounds like a plan. I'm game. Let's do it.
All right. Sounds good. So with that, we are going to wrap up tonight's show. Once again, we hope you enjoyed the episode. And again, can't stress enough. We're doing our best to provide a show that will give you an hour or so of entertainment. We could be failing miserably. So please let us know. Send us your comments. Let us know what we're doing well, what you like, what you dislike. And our commitment to you is we will continue to strive to find some talent and bring it here each and every week. For those of you listening on the podcast, please leave us a 5-star rating and a glowing review. And again, be sure to subscribe to the show so you don't miss any future episodes. But most of all, we really do just appreciate you showing up, checking out the show, giving us a chance to earn an hour of your time each and every week. And we hope that you'll continue to do so and meet us here on the Liquid Courage Show. Good night, everyone.
Good night.